this party started, as I like to say.
Absolutely, like it never ended. Welcome, Dinah. You're the first one in and the most favorite one of all. Oh, here's Dr. Lisa. So slowly starting in. How's your week? How had everything started? Hello, Dr. Lisa. Thank you for joining us. Uh, today, to, today I'm going to try something. We'll wait for a crowd to build up, and then I'll try following into the example of our mentor and coach, Robert the Blakester. I'm going to try streaming this out to the world, try to see if what is the impact that we get and how much of a community or new members we can start building. I mean, it's also going to be a way to consolidate what we're doing here since it's going to be open to anybody to time in or to join us if they have additional advice that they want to share, things that we can all benefit from, or even comments that they want to put forward, push back. We're always welcoming of criticism, and that's the most important thing when you want to grow. You want to be able to receive information, even the critical one. It's important. Are you muted so we can't hear you if you're speaking to us? Oh, perfect. So we have a few more people, and that's glorious. Today, to put things in perspective, what we're going to start by doing, well, as usual in good tradition, we'll open up the floor for any questions that we have around general and outside usage or general marketing questions, even other tools that we have come to use together. And if we have no questions there, I will then move to the follow-up to our previous conversation, reinforcing basically what we have been covering and giving us more tool to achieve what we are in this space to achieve, right? So again, thank you for gathering as you usually do. This wouldn't be without you, wouldn't be the full experience without you. Um, and welcome to our marketing boiler room. As usual, I'll be your host. And I have my wingman with me as I presented, the Blakester. Um, it's a safe zone, as we usually do at any point in time. When you have a question,
Oh,
you can
below.
raise your hand. We'll bring you in so that we can all share into the inquiry. Or you can simply ask the question in the chat, and Robert will address you with an answer. Or otherwise, we'll bring it up so that we can all share in that knowledge. Newsflash, I have updated our links. So I'm just going to put that back into the chat for everybody. Everything that we had covered since the last masterclass, which was when my hardware left me on the side there. So everything has been published back to YouTube. I have updated also a newsletter for the content. I have also updated the team environment. So most of the documents that we'll be covering that we have covered already and all the video content is now available out there. I definitely recommend that you take the time to go over those different videos. It can be in not necessarily a specific order because there are some information there that we will constantly be referring to from this point on. It's knowledge that we have anchored, is process that we have discussed. So we're not going to reinvent the wheel. We're going to apply the process and trust the progress. Good for everybody? Perfect. So we'll start with a round of questions. If you have any particular things that you've been trying or hurdles that you've been facing throughout your week of marketing that you want to bring forward, it can be anything concerning now side or outside of now side. You can bring it up and we'll try to open up conversation around that. Otherwise, I laid forward, we'll continue on our conversation. Questions? One thing I will ask during this session, if you can, if you have your business profile or UVP that you want us to take a look at, you can send that to me in a direct message on Zoom, and I'll refer to that so that I don't necessarily throw the author of the conversation under the bus while trying to evaluate. I don't want to be criticizing you directly, but I think it's knowledge that everybody here will appreciate. Perfect, perfect. So I'll start to share. One of the things I'll start with the team environment. Um, so for those who are using it, we all have access to it, whether we have the full package of NowSite or not. It's a team environment here. I hope you have joined in to the team content. Oh, 1 second here. Let me refresh this. So while it's refreshing, for those who have visited it recently, you will see that I, of course, changed the whole presentation around the content. I added the onboarding for those who are interested in joining into the IMI Core Tribe for additional content, for additional meetings with me. You will have the process and also the roadmap. Uh, Even if you don't have the intention of going through the process with me, take a look at that roadmap because often enough, the onboarding is a conversation that we have gone in and out of, how to properly organize the onboarding. If it's at the lead qualification, there are some steps. If it's after the conversion, the conversation becomes a little bit more intricate. So you want to take a look at what I've done. At least I have approached it in the best way I see fit for the rollout of my service. So take a look at that. In the team content section, you'll notice that the first section is now the recent how-to sessions. So they're all lined up in order, the most recent being at the top and the earliest being at the bottom. So check this out as well. And in the course content, I also did a little bit of a facelift so that you guys can navigate a little bit better. You'll notice that I have added these different spots here just to make sure that you understand which type of content we'll be looking at. The most recent content is in the UVP section as we are discussing the UVP. We started with the discussion around the impact of our message. Last week, we covered a little bit, or we started diving into the UVP, and we had some exchange at the end of the session. And I want to come back on that. The reason why is that the UVP or your unique value proposition or the way you position the power in your offer is important to master. It's the fundamental to any sales conversation, whether you're doing this face to face, whether you're exchanging messages, whether you're using your marketing conversation to attract or engage into a call to action. So it's very important that we understand how to structure that. It's something that will follow us through the platform, through any exercises that we will be doing, whether we're trying to reinforce what we have already put in place and it's not because it's not hitting or needs to be improved, or whether we're starting from scratch, right? So we're going to discuss that. Just to give you a small tour of what to expect when you're looking at the how-to letter specifically. I'm just going to go over that here. The rest, in terms of the IMI Core Tribe and the IMI Business Solution, we already have discussed. Should have just previewed it. So you can see in adherence to what we've discussed when we created the branding, when we discussed the mascot or the persona or how it's being put into use. Also, these different brand echo or relationship that we're going to try to create between the different tiers of products that we offer. So in adherence to that, as you can see, I revamped this newsletter, updated the colors to the one that were suggested by the AI during the AI revamp process and the prompt that we followed. And I have to be honest, at first I wasn't too keen on this coral red, but as I got along using it, it bear fruit, right? So we can take a look at it. Our last session will have the latest recap, and you'll also have the button to go to the team or to the YouTube session to see the previous one. made a little bit simple. I added in this coming soon a form. So if ever you guys want to book a meeting with me, start talking about evaluating, optimizing, or building something for you with me, then you have the option here. Everything starts with an assessment. Because as we all came to understand, it's a discovery piece. It's how you can tailor the service to the person, to the audience that you are offering service to. This is the beginning of your value positioning. Now, I created a little bit of documents there that I want to share with you today or that we're going to discuss. One thing, the smart thinking process is something that I've been constantly referring to. And even in this exercise, I'm going to refer back to it. The reason why I'm going to be doing that is repetition makes perfect. And often enough, we know things, but when it's time to apply it, we don't necessarily follow through. We try to get to the quick end, the results. And by trying to get quickly to that end, we often will be caught into a spiral where we can lose time, right? So we want to be efficient in what we're doing in all case scenario. Now, the first document that I want you guys to take a look at, or the document that I created here, is this case study that we'll go over, looking at, again, how to properly approach this idea of building a strong conversation. For those who weren't with us during the lost transition yesterday, you missed a few good things again, always some gold nuggets. And I kind of included a little bit of that in this conversation. We'll see for those who were listening and are applying, if you can spot these little add-ons relating to what we discussed yesterday. Yesterday, we covered the idea of becoming the leader, speaking from a place of power, and that's important. And these pillars or these principles or these advice also will follow us when we're discussing or when we're applying our marketing strategy, applying our marketing conversation. Remember that conversation, again, is not something that just happens on a face-to-face basis, especially for us. It's these conversations, these emails, these comments, posts that we make that will attract our targeted audience to us to take advantage of what is at the core of the relationship, the interest, and the value that they get from that exchange. This is why it's so much important to get into the mindset of offering relationship more than trying to close deals, right? Especially that retention, which is the long-term game that we're playing, is what we scale our business on. Often enough, your strongest retention process will make your acquisition even stronger, right? The idea is to be able to find your power in your statement and manifest that, right? Because the idea of UVP will be present at many stages of what you are doing. And now it's like when we're starting, this is where we left off last time, the idea of that business description, which is in fact you positioning value and power in your offer. That question that we fear the most in what are you selling? What are you offering? Right? That question usually has to do with that positioning. Right? It's the greatest open door for you to slam dunk in your offer at that point of connection when the clear question is asked. And often enough, if we're not confident in what we offer, we cannot. We start stumbling. We start fearing objections. When objections are actually more conversation doors opening, right? So I want to reinforce this, and I'll be reinforcing this for a while. Why? Because repetition is the father of learning, first thing first. And I will stop when you guys tell me, Virgil, we had enough of the UVP, and I'll say, show me. And at that point, from all sides of the room, I'll get these crazy UVPs, and I'm like, okay, you did your homework. You did what you were supposed to do. And I do mean did what's supposed to do, not in a creative sense, because creativity has no boundary. And this is often the trap that we are falling into when we're starting to use AI, right? One of the things we want to be efficient in the way we use AI. If for anything, right, just to be a little bit, I would say, and that's me turning on my Greenpeace sign on you, to be ecologically sound or aware that AI takes a lot of processing power. So imagine they need land for their servers, they need water to cool these down, they need minerals and stuff. And AI, believe it or not, is at the heart of a lot of conversation around that, its impact on nature. So when we're using it, we have to be aware of that impact, right? That processing power that we're using it. And the best we can do is choose to use it efficiently. Before we started this, actually yesterday, I prompted in the course of building conversation with AI, I prompted it because I wanted the truth from the horse mouth. And I recommend you guys do that, to give me 10 good practices that I should adhere to, that all online marketers should adhere to when using AI. Right? Rules from the horse's mouth. Imagine that you could actually ask your ranch, how should I best use you to build the next thing that I want to do or to fix this engine? And the ranch could actually tell you, right? So prompt your AIs and understand what it's offering you. The two first advice that it gave me is the advice that I'm going to be going back and forth over the course of the 2 days here. The first one was understand the prompt or your structure of your prompt. And the other one was understand that AI is not a creator, is a co-creator. We work together, right? So even the AI is telling you in lame word, be clear to me when you're asking me to do stuff for you, and understand that I'm going to be doing part of it and you're going to be doing the rest of it. And this is important because thinking efficiently in this exchange allows you, one, to save time and achieve better result quickly, right? Very important. One of the things that you want to understand about your UVP, and this brings me back to one of the conversation that we had yesterday, is power is not being loud, right? It's being clear, clearest of them all. That's power, right? Not strength. If you can state your claim, defend it, argue, and bring people to realize that you have better weight in your argument that they have to offer, then mission accomplished. And this is also the process that we are following or going through when we're trying to convert from the simple but complicated, complicated but simple, right? This is basically the engagement that we're in. Got to be very, if anything, master your sales pitch. Whenever you're doing this on the road, that's the first thing that they will have you do in these prep up room or ambiance room, mind state setting, pre-meetings before you venture out there. You're working on those, the strength of your conversation, the strength of your pitch, right? So luckily for us that are doing marketing, we don't necessarily need years of experience to be able to come into the full understanding and mastery of it. With AI, which is collective knowledge gathered together, we can source out and apply. But that also means that we're following a specific process, right? And the process doesn't change each time you come back to it. Once you set up a pace, that's usually what you want to come back and repeat. And this is even more so important for us because we're set into a game of duplication. As soon as we have acquired speed in our activity, we now need to grow. And the only way we can do that is onboard people, train them, give them the process so that they adhere to it. And when they don't, We notice that, which brings me back to this conversation today. Because whenever I'm asking your UVPs or whenever you're putting forward content on the board and I'm called to take a look at it, you have come to realize that I always ask you this. Did you use the AI to do this? And more specifically, did you use your trigger stacking approach? Or I should say our trigger stacking approach. Because from the get-go, after doing this a number of times, you can spot a strong prompt, you can spot a strong statement or not, right? Because remember that we have gone through specific steps into evaluating our UVPs, and that won't change. When we were doing our branding exercise, we understood that there were 5 attributes on which our UVP, our offer, our brand description was always put on the scale, right? And this is what makes you clearer. This is where your power comes in. Clarity and purpose, the drive, the energy, the impulse, relevance. Are we talking to the right ear? Distinctiveness, what sets us apart from what we heard before? Memorability. This rings a bell. I will come back. This made an impression, right? And scalability, something that opens up for greater tomorrows. Coming back to the discussion yesterday, when all was said and done, one of the conversation or one of the pillars was around building a movement. That falls right in line into the discussion around legacy, around retention, right? If you don't have anything for people to grasp on, to hold on, to inspire them, to open that vision for the future, they won't stay. They'll go look for future elsewhere. Yeah. As we are called to leave our family, well, we go look for a future elsewhere. It's innate. If you're not being fulfilled where you are, or if you grow out of where you are, you move on to other things. And them growing out of a cycle can be part of your retention, meaning that I know that I'm going to take them up to this level. And at that point, they are free to their devices, right? Much like what I'm doing in this space with you, going up and down, but still sticking to the fundamentals. Because from that point on, everything else can be built as you see fit, as you see tailored, or as your customer or audience base expect or requires, right? Very important. The target audience, that's the biggest issue in all these offers that we have come across. We want to sell to the people. Who are these people? Right? Who are we putting a target on? How do they themselves describe themselves? And that's an important thing. Because if you're going to reach out to people and touch their core and show them something that inspires them or brings to mind an experience that they don't want to live through again, you're not creating that emotion. You're not positioning your value. And it's not a game of intricate words. It's a game of emotions. Your words have to move the audience. As simple as that. So whenever you have a description, again, that who, how are you defining that who? Because that's who you're going to be speaking to, not all the people. Right? So when you're evaluating, even if you're not going through this whole gymnastic, if anything, if you have a statement, whatever AI you're using, or before you go into the AI battle royale, pitching them against each other, you want to at least have your AI evaluate this statement based on these 5 attributes. However, they are framed, there are variants to the words used, but the idea, the concept remains. I need to be clear. I need to instill purpose, because purpose echoes in the future. Achievements, right? Relevant to the ear. You can't sell barbecue sauce to a vegan person. Doesn't work. Even if the conversation and the sauce is delicious as they come, it's not relevant, right? When you have this sauce on the shelves among many other shelves, because that's the reality of network marketing. We're out there and we're an agent amongst many agents in our industry, competing for that client's interest, that client's relationship, not their money in the end, right? So you want to make sure that you have clearly identified your target audience each time. That's very important, especially when we're going into these exercise of having 5 meaningful connections or 5 meaningful exchanges. Every exchange that we are having should be a meaningful one, because every time we should be using the right structure, right? One of the guiding questions around your pitches or your texts is these ones. You want to make sure that your conversation is always built around the core quality of your brand, whatever they are, right? What exactly are you selling? What exactly are you offering? What exactly am I pitching? This is very, and again, the concept is about narrowing, simplifying the offer so that it's clear and that the purpose echoes properly. Last time in the conversation, the revision of what was offered, I went straight for the fact that there was a little bit too much attributes, details behind every movement of the conversation, which created noise more than clarity, right? Which sometimes also created confusion more than relevance. And there was power in the offer, there was power in the intention and the desire, but we fell prey to the noise. And we want to make sure that we always adhere to that. Same way, for example, when I was critical of Robert's offer, not looking at the fact that it was part of a whole, I was looking at there's still more there that we can add to it. More power in the expression of our expertise, more power in the presentation of our service, more targeted, right? Few words there. And in the end, these few words are what you want every time you are opening the door to a conversation. The idea is that you want to strike the chord that has them ask the next question. And the more you know your product, the more you know your offer, the more you know your audience, the more you are prepared. All right. There is always an immediate rebuttal to questions that come on the table often enough. Right. This is also why I really like the response to that question. It's going to be a high rate. Oh, yeah. What makes you think that? If already at the beginning you're questioning the value, that's my pain point. I'm going to discuss that. Right? I'm still going to start the presentation explaining to you how this is appropriate for your budget. Because if you're telling me a rate, then you are by reference talking about your budget, talking about your life, talking about your comfort. And these become words that I'm going to be using. This is not going to affect your comfort or your current way of life. It's actually going to improve by giving you better financial control. And the whole point of us discussing this is to find the best rate for you, right? That becomes that exchange where simple but complex or complex but simple will come into play. And the only difference between these two stages as far as you're concerned, is how well you know your product. The client is simple but complex. It means that he has a bunch of simple questions, but he's already converting himself. He's just finding the reason. The one that is complex but simple, often enough, is one of the best buyers. They want hard proof that what you are offering will give them a solution. Because when you don't want to buy something, you walk away from the conversation right there and there. Boom. I'm not interested, by some other time. And that doesn't has to be necessarily with your approach. If you caught me at a bad day, I was dealing with this thing and you made a pitch, right clientele, right audience, just not the right moment, I'm in a bad mood. Doesn't have to do with you. But when you've done everything, when you check all the mark, you're comfortable in receiving a no of that story because you did everything that you had. Very important. Now, one of the things is when you are evaluating your conversation, what you get is not the end product. Refine it. Before you even start implementing it, to get feedback, you yourself should be able to judge or evaluate what you're doing. And this is important, coming back to the second advice of AI. When you are prompting me, I'm giving you information based on what you have told me, but it's your obligation to take a look at it and revise, maybe even optimize, fine tune it to what you want. And we'll see that later. I have a demo exercise that I created. Going back to the documents that are in the content there, we have an AI prompt structure exercise. And I've been consistently using that same formula. None of what I've done so far that I'm doing here has changed. And that mindset has drilled in a way or an appreciation to see these things, right? So prioritize an audience. And I've said this in many shape or form, the fact that your product is a diamond. It's good for everybody because it has these facets and everybody sees themselves in these different facets. And this is why it's a jewel of a product. But when you're selling to one person, you can't sell it talking about the other person's benefit if they're not in the same context or the same need or niche, right? So whenever you start, especially with the idea that you can create volume into the content, well, use that to be more precise. Select, prioritize the target audience. Because this is when the conversation will have more impact, more value. You speak to their needs. You speak to their expectation. Right? Of course, if you are going to be trying to, if the intent is to trigger emotion, because emotion creates movement, right? This is one of the core values also, or principles that we have come to adhere behind our marketing strategy. We need to create emotion because emotion creates movement. Right? Emotion creates memorability. It's memorable. I had a good connection. I had a good exchange, right? So you should understand which emotion will resonate better with your audience, or even more, which choice or impulse you're trying to create. If I'm asking you to choose, then I'm going to put you into a hard place between pain points, solution, pain points. What do you choose? Aspiration, I'll be talking about where you want to be, how long it's been, and how quickly you can arrive there with me. Right? Here's the value. Achieving what you have a longing to achieve in the fastest way possible. I didn't say it like that, but it will feel like that because I touched in the right word. And if it's not, they will correct me. No, it's not really that. It's this. Okay, well, let's address that then. You have opened up a little bit more. Right? So we speak with emotion. Keep that in mind. That's the color. Often enough, when I'm reading these things, your content and trying to evaluate, you can see that my voice will change depending on the connection that I have with the message and how the emotions or the ideas flow together. It's become sort of a song, right? That is the chord that will play to people's heart. Nobody delivers a dry speech. right? There's variations, and these are emotional. Some are meant to create aspiration, those create understanding, those others trust. And this is where that idea of stacking your triggers becomes very important, right? So keep that in mind. 3, share emotion, right? Build relationship. Don't be salesy. Respect the client's conversation, or even more, understand their psychology, right? And that becomes hard to do if you're trying to sell to a group. Group psychology is a different beast. Some people are very smart, but when they get into a crowd, they lose all logic. They go with the momentum and the emotion. Hence, the emotion moves people. Right? If I want you to stop and reflect, I'll get you the logic. I'll give you that book. I'll ground you there and say, hey, wait, stay in this space with me. If I want you to move, I'll tell you, let's go here, let's go there, let's not stay here, let's venture out, right? And that is important. That very well will guide the way you script your conversation, whether you want somebody to pause and reflect or move with purpose. But again, purpose has to be clearly outlined. Hence that first attribute, clarity. If all this goes over your head, it's okay as long as you remember that prompt. I have a conversation, I need to evaluate it to make it stronger. Here are the 5 attributes that I need as a salesman. All right. And then you can go reading this. While you're reading this, evaluate it based on these key points. And that follows anything, whether you're doing this on a website, on an email, on a quick short DM. The structure of your conversation should always adhere to these, right? In this case, as you can see, for an audience of entrepreneur, and I've zoomed in on this, I want to talk to entrepreneurs seeking brand clarity, right? What is the need of that niche? They need expert guidance, they need support, they need knowledge. What is the tone of somebody who's confident in their knowledge? I said it, confidence, right? Possibilities, solutions. All these words fall into one key one. And remember, that's important because the less you have to say to create a greater impact, the better it is, both for your clients and also for working with AI. Very important, right? And objections. I skipped that one, right? In our 5 attributes, objections and seeking unity. That has been said. But objection is the one that you really want to be comfortable with. Because objection shows that, again, you know your product, you know your client, and you have an answer or a pivot for things that might come your way. I remember having a conversation around products. The client was using a specific product, but the best seller was another product. The products were related or somewhat, as opposed to you could do this with this product, but if you wanted to do more, then you would have to switch to another product. Well, even that can be used as an approach. For example, you're selling hair product. You see somebody walking down the street with fair skin. You're going to compliment on the product and then say, well, what about your hair? Right? Give you confidence and then say, hey, well, we should improve that as well so everything will match in. I came to you for hair product, but I complimented you on this. I offer you this, you tell me, well, no, this is not what I'm looking for. Already, if I have a product that answers that niche, I'm closer to that cell, to the cell than when I started. Right? So an objection is not a bad thing. You have to understand the nature of it. If the nature is hostile, well, you don't want to be dealing with clients that are hostile anyways. But anything else is about should I or should I not engage in this relationship with you? And this is the zone or the mind frame that you want to stay in. Right? So keep that in mind. These apply at any level. Right? Uh, the principles. Okay, and this is where some of the knowledge from yesterday was added in, right? That clarity over loudness, right? And this echoes in your marketing presentation. Remember the conversation that we had about around using too much of your color or not in the right place. That is loudness. Trying so much to get the message across or the emotion across that we start plastering this color to compensate for the lack of weight or the lack of confidence. Because always the ideas are there. It's about shaping them in a way that brings out their power, right? If you're building a relationship, then the conversation should always leave with an impression of there is more there after that first step, more for me to gain. If anything, that is one of the greatest feat that you want to be able to pull at conversion. I'm buying this to start, but I really want to buy the other one there because I know that there's a next step. That's great. Test the product, and as you fall in, we'll get you on a fast track to get you where you are. Right? These are great conversations. Often enough, in my brand conversation or brand assessment, that is usually the issue that we need to first come to terms with. Right there, where what I say is everybody tend to want to build the house starting from the roof. The projection of, look at the puppy. You're stealing my heart here. Look at that love. So everybody wants to create or build their house starting from the ground, from the roof down. When we create from the ground up, the foundation, right? Your what is to be your brand rationale serves as the seed for everything else. Any sales pitch, any offer, any any uh, any content that's going to be created for marketing purpose. Well, that two-line rationale in your brand booklet, after anchoring your attributes and the different things that make up your image, is something that is always there, should not be changed. Hence the power behind the setup in Now site. Once you have anchored that idea, it follows you across the platform. Even when you're having the AI write the content, you'll also be called to go over that and evaluate it, right? And that always apply. Key things to go over what you receive. The audience focus, the audience focus, the audience focus. It's for a reason that when you have your brand evaluated through the AI, there's a specific spot for that target audience. And by using effective prompt, you can actually get an avatar, as I demonstrated in previous videos. And with that, it makes a world of difference when going out there and making a connection with somebody, because you have key factors that you're looking at, right? And everything here, funny enough, social media is the place where we go out to express our emotions. So all the conversation that you will come across will have tones, will have emotions, will tend to challenge things or question things, will try to present somebody's perspective. So even in the way the client expressed themselves, they adhere to these points consistently, right? And when it's not for you, you know, well, this is not for me, it's for somebody else. If it speaks to me, then yes, this is for my ears. You react this way when you're looking at content on social media. You should expect and work to that when you are creating your content. This is going out for that specific person, which this need, and that will be manifested on their social media feed when they are doing so. Not only it gives me a good indication of the audience, it gives me a good indication of the pain points, the need. It also gives me a good indication of whether they're active or not. If it was a once in a flyby thing that came to mind and left, or constantly talking about it. That is a call for you to step in and address that need if that person is part of your niche, right? Now, this is the big thing here. And this is one thing that I want to come back to. And again, when we are applying this, we can see it right away in the conversation, the way that it's structured when you're reading it, right? We've learned such a great thing with that, applying emotional trigger combos. And that is so important into identifying the interest when we're offering the 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 conversation piece, but more importantly, how to structure the intention, right? Because we're always working on these three legs. I need to get your intention in so I can get you to look. And when you're looking, I can explain to you exactly what I'm doing, putting forward that try. And how do you try? Well, the call to action. It's a mechanic, right? You shouldn't try to create or recreate this will because you can't. It's the mechanic of how everybody buys. What is it? Tell me more. I'm interested. Okay, how do I get it? Whether it's a longer conversation, oh, send it to me, I'll review the file and then I'll take a look at it and see. And then whether it's something that spans over a few months, a few weeks, a few seconds, the structure of a conversation that is meant to generate a sale is always the same thing, at least in the direction of the target audience. I have something that interests you, and this has use and functionality that you can take advantage of, and this is how you get it. As a matter of fact, when you miss one of these legs, you're not selling. You might be informing, you might be talking to people, but in all case scenario, if these three are not lined up, you're not making an offer. Very important. And in the idea of creating those, we have come across these prompt structures, these emotional stacking approach, right? Very simply, and it's something that once it's created, I'm going to switch to the other side here. Once it's created, remember this is there. I updated a little bit the look and feel, but the AI prompt structure document is there, right? Once it's created, you can always revert back to the structure. I'm going to be correcting this one here. And once they're in place, you don't even need to think. Copy, paste AI. I want you to write something using this because this is the emotion that I want to create. These are the triggers that I want to be pulling on, right? And this is a prompt that technically for me has not aged, hasn't gone bad. Every time I need to write something, I don't even think anymore. I just copy, paste, and say, write it. Often enough, what I'll do is take text or offers from some other people and I'll say, take this, rewrite it with this prompt structure if I don't feel that it's hitting all the chords that I'm looking at, right? So every time you have something, a piece of text that you have put out there, whether it's a post, whether it's your business profile, whether it's your business presentation you're about, even if it's a longer piece like a newsletter, you want to apply that. It's your process. And if you found a better process, then definitely share it with us. It's going to be something that we will take advantage of, right? This is what we're here for. There is here what I do here. Some of these documents, there is a more extended course and discussion around what we have here. It will be made available in due time. But here, 1 second. I had a demo exercise that I did, applying exactly these structures and going through the process, right? And this is something that I think, short of anything else, we should be applying that. Going back to this prompt conversation, I keep it simple and I talk to the AI like it is a person. And that is the easiest way to get things done. However, you want to have a clear objective, a clear focus, right? And in this case, as we discussed prior, this was my prompt. I want to write a few examples of a connection message for Facebook. I want to be going on a Facebook connection. That is the objective, step one, right? This is my goal. This is my strategy. I'm going to be going after entrepreneurs. And even at this stage, I have clearly chosen a target audience. If I want the right result out of AI, I want to give him the right thing. If I give him too many titles, too many things, then he's going to assume certain things and he might go into my direction or not. So the more you're precise, the more you're concise, the better it is. Clarity and purpose, right? So I want to join some groups. I want to start a conversation with the admin and some of the members. I want to invite them to our Zoom session, our live sessions, which is something that I'm going to be doing and rolling out with you, doing this, showing the results, right? And I want the AI to use basically, I did it twice, the following emotional trigger stack, right? And we had a whole table with different combination for you to pick, choose, or even better, a strategy for you to create your own that adapt to the type of emotions that you've been getting when you've been exchanging or the one that you want to create or falling short of, right? In this case, I want to create a sense of belonging, assurance, right? And you can see that in the identification of my niche, that's what they were looking for, support and expertise. I don't have to ask them if they're getting value. I'm bringing those values to them and letting them take the next step. Come and take advantage of it. Come and evaluate it. Once you experience it, I am confident enough that I will see you back. Right? So I'm not fazed by what is it that you're selling or a blunt inquiry. My conversation, as I've put it forward, is scalable. You'll be able to come back, come and take a look at it. There's nothing to fear or nothing to adhere to at this stage. It's a community. Come. Right? So I asked the AI to do so. As you can see, sorry, I'm just going to turn off my phone here. Right? And once the AI gives me something, I am myself going to evaluate it again, adhering to these core processes. Even at a glance, I'm keeping in mind these checks. Is it clear? Is it relevant? Is it distinctive? Is it memorable? Can it be scaled? Scaled in this case, can I apply that structure to another ear, another facet of this diamond? Right? Am I clear? Or am I just being loud by adding a whole bunch of things? Or not powerful enough? Right? So this one was tricky. This was something that came from yesterday. In leadership, there is active listening, right? Active communication, active listening. Well, in the case of marketing, active listening is what? Paying attention to all the clues. Right? If I see you posting a lot of family pictures, then I know that you have family at the center of your core values. And I cannot address you without letting you know or positioning the greater impact on your family, on your household, if you made this decision. This is when you start yourself looking for value in the conversation. Very important. For us, active listening is the same thing that we're asking for from our audience when we're creating or posting things. We want them to tune in, right? So we want them to adhere to the interest that we're putting forward there. Well, the mirror effect is on our side. If I want you to listen, I need to speak to you about what you're interested in. And the more precise I am, the greater is the connection, the greater is the value that you see in that, right? So active listening is you actively gauging the verbal information that you're seeing about your client. And once again, this is where NowSite is so much of a powerful tool because it gives you these personality analysis when information is available, or it gives you these enhanced interest or skills. And we're defined by those. When we start creating our AI for it to be in sync with us, we tell it what we like, or what we're coming from, what we've done, and such, so that it understands us clearly and can speak to us. Same goes with our clientele or audience. If you haven't zeroed in on a specific audience, it's going to make it hard for you to move them. And all this is the brain work that we do so that the rest of the heavy load is carried out by the AI. And you can see here, I asked it to give me a version. It gave me 3. I went over these 3 versions. And as you can see, I highlighted piece of the conversations that adhere to what I wanted to do. I had to do the work. Once I had, and that's small work compared to writing and the spelling mistakes and all that jazz, I'm very happy with that, right? So he gives me this, I take a look at it, I evaluate it, and remember, in our smart taking process, when we implement, we have to review so that we can optimize. And if you notice, I've been covering these steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And one of the things is, sorry, here. Once I picked out the different point of the conversation that I like as I received it from the AI, I ran it anew. Simple prompts. I like this, using this structure now, this combined structure, and you can see I copy paste the first part of the conversation and the second part of this offer, this example, into one, and spun it again. This time it gave me 7. Now I have 7 powerful statements, and I read each one of those, and they were pretty much in tune with what I wanted to do. I have 7 acquisition or connection message to create an impact. 7 days. I can run each one of these messages at different time of the day or different day of the week and see which one generates the more impact. Come back, take that one, and build upon it using the same structure, right? So pretty interesting what I got, and I was pretty amazed. Short and friendly. Hi, I've been exploring active entrepreneur group lately, and your post really caught my attention. Yesterday there was a question to which I answered. Ethical exchange. I want you to give me your time. I need to give you my time. I want you to invest yourself emotionally into what I have to offer. I have to invest myself emotionally in what you have offered. Right? We often are chasing after reactions so that we can gauge the engagement or the how well our posts are performing. Guess what? Everybody that is posting is out with the same cause, with the same goal. That is something that we should work on. Or with, I would say. Especially in this environment that we are, where we seek out and then connect. Right? So every time I want to start a conversation, the easiest way is like a post, friend you, and then tell you, I like what you did. I'm hosting a small session, a Zoom session with a few ambitious entrepreneurs. There's more of you here. You're just like us. Trust, community, social proof. Right? Let's share insight together. Joined. People have already joined. So you can see that the values that I was going after are there. Right? Trust, value, social proof, they are there each time. And all I'm doing is evaluating, okay, how strong is this or how well it jives with what I want to express at this time, right? Hi, this one here, the first one, emphasizing growth opportunity. These are the values that you're going after. These are the values as entrepreneur that you're looking for, right? If I ask the question here, uh, does anybody in this space is not looking to grow or not looking for opportunity to become better? I would not get a no. Everybody's looking for that. So that's the value. Simple as that, right? Uh, Highlighting trust in community. If you're working alone as an entrepreneur, and that is definitely something that is a burden, something that you want to escape, we need to build teams. The community is a real thing. Well, here, trust in community. Browsing through some of entrepreneurs group, your post really stood out as a thoughtful and inspiring. I'm inviting a selected group of entrepreneurs to a private session hangout, right? Piquing the interest, rewarding, but again, staying around these values. That's what I'm trying to push forward. That's the impact that I'm trying to do. And if that is the choice, then I will use that as you have a whole petting zoo over there, cats, mouse, and everything. So definitely, this is something that you want to keep in mind. We're done for today, but we'll continue tomorrow. What I definitely would expect from you is take a look at these documents. It's a 1, 2, 3 steps for whatever you're currently pushing. If you haven't, go through that step. Take your core to rationale out of that branding statement or your business profile or your power pitch. Whatever it is, evaluate it. And remember the key criteria. You want to be clear. You want to have purpose. It has to be impactful, memorable. It has to open up for greater opportunities because these are the values that will make people stay and come back to you. That only works if you know who you're speaking to because anybody can have different things and opinion things that they are looking for or that they value. You are looking for specific audience. Go for that niche. So you better understand what they favor, what they will receive as value. Right? You may offer your time to somebody and he will say you don't need it. Time is, I don't need it. But others are there asking themselves, where can I find somebody to help me with this, to guide me with this, to work with me with this? Right? One thing that was a true statement, you shouldn't, or necessarily, this is something also that we discussed yesterday, the fact that knowledge is something that is available free, but that we also need to pay for training. These are two different things, right? Knowledge is there, use it. Using it is applying it. And sometimes when going through the process of applying it, you might need some people to steer you, the coaching. This is where we come into our power, right? The leadership. This is where we come into our power. So understand what your power is or how it's rooted into your business offer and how it echoes into the heart of your audience so that you can move them with purpose or move them with impactful message. And it's not a complicated song and dance. It's you adhering to this process. We know how to evaluate. We have core attributes. We have to keep them in mind when we are reading back what AI is giving us. And we definitely want to prompt AI the right way with formulas that we know are winners. And this was definitely a winner coming from uh, Robert and the combined exchange that we had here to start formulating this. Remember when we discovered that, I told you out frank, I've been teaching this uh, interest, intention, call to action, but in the intention, I had no structure to give you until we discovered that. I'm using it constantly. So I evaluate everything that I receive on that note. So should you. It's only going to make your process more stronger, your approach more critical, and your rebuttals more prepared. Good for everybody? questions, comments, pushback? If any, think about them, and tomorrow we'll go over this. If you have, if you want, you can send me some emails with the UVPs or conversation you would want us to go over tomorrow, and we'll use that, and you'll be able to walk away with that template as well. But definitely keep in mind that AI prompt structure, it holds on one page, and it's something that you should, it's a mechanic that you should always adhere to. Good for everybody? Perfect. I'll see you tomorrow then, and I wish you a great rest of the day. Until then.
Thanks, Roger. Bye bye.
You're welcome.